Hello, and welcome to FTT Chats. I'm Liz Lumley, and this is where we sit down with some of the great and the good of fintech for a bit of a chat. So today I am speaking to Vesa Rihimäki of Nordea, who battled hard to get on this platform because we love technology in the age of the pandemic. But hello, Vesa, how are you?
All fine, and how are you?
I'm excellent. I'm very good.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna start off with the first question that we ask everybody, so you can introduce yourselves to us. Who are you, and what do you do?
Yeah, I'm Vesa Rihimäki from Nordea Bank, and this is the largest bank in the Nordics, and I've been there since 1989, so pretty long time. And first 10 years I was in finance companies, then the next 10 years I was in transaction banking, so to say. It was services for private and corporate customers and all those file services and net banks and so that kind of stuff Nordically. And the past 10 years close to the existing one, which I have been building last 7 years. This is the Nordea Startup and Growth, which I'm now heading here.
Excellent. Yeah, no, I mean, because you're going to be speaking at our upcoming Nordics event, specifically about startups and growth and that ecosystem in the region. And you often hear a few people comment that capital and funding is kind of hard to come by for some startups in the Nordic region. Have you found that? Is it hard to find capital?
It's a difficult question in a way, Of course, in a way, it's if you're have a brilliant idea and great track record and numbers are looking good and excellent team, then always you have plenty of options where to choose. But on the other hand, very few startups and very few fintechs are that great. So typically, of course, you need to find and spend a lot of time in order to find capital. And but especially during the COVID, like the first 2-3 months, then there was like a freeze period in Europe and everywhere. In a way, everybody's was looking at their existing portfolio and was not interested into any kind of new cases. But now I think we have come back quite much, and it's if not normal, but almost normal, as we used to see the venture capital scene. And also the numbers are talking about that kind of. I've been looking at the global and European and Nordic numbers, total numbers, how much venture capital has been invested out. And like the first half, for example, of this year in all of those, global, European and Nordics, those numbers have been pretty okay, even though a lot of the large deals, at least, they were signed already or started the negotiations late last year. But let's see the third quarter numbers. But to my eyes, it's not looking bad at all.
Okay, well, that's a good positive note. Then I think that'll be very good for a lot of people. I mean, you talked a lot about sort of venture capital, and we all know that there's lots of different options to find funding as a startup. But in the fintech space, I think the incumbent banks are such a big part of that ecosystem. What can banks, like Nordea, do to support and improve the capital scene for emerging companies?
Yeah, it's for each bank. I think they first need to figure out their own innovation journey. I mean, many have been running the past years some accelerators, and they have had different kind of entrepreneurship courses and trying to change the culture so that it could be somehow even possible for a startup to negotiate with a large bank like Nordea, and there's still a lot of to be done, in order to be on the to negotiate on same level and not to kill the startup with 50 lawyers and so on. The process is, but we have the existing compliance world is such that the banks have no choice. We need to have some processes and so on, but still culture-wise and so on. There's we, for example, in Nordea we have done a big leap towards that kind of company that it's doable to negotiations with startups and so on. And we have ourselves as well done 8 CVC investments as well to growth stage fintechs. So we have at least proven that we are capable of doing it. And then it's about how the bank sees the digital banking as such, whether they have even invested into it in a way, that they have a organization supporting it. They might have a digital banking division, for example. It's how ready the bank is there and understanding where the future is. It's part of the culture, part of the change as well. And then what I'm even more closer with my existing role in the bank is what we call this Nordea Startup and Growth, where we, for example, in Finland, we have 350 million growth loans out there for startups, and quite many of them are fintechs as well. Traditionally, banks have totally avoided leveraging startups and that kind of growth businesses. Maybe Silicon Valley Bank has been there as the only one for close to 40 years. But, we are maybe then the second one. We have been up and running 7 years in this track, and everything is looking in a way good. That I clearly can see that we, for the coming years, definitely we will be there and supporting the fintechs as well when it comes to leverage. But I know we are 1 out of 100, 1 out of 1,000 banks, are willing to do this kind of business. It is traditionally just I don't know, too difficult most likely, but it's possible. Like Silicon Valley Bank and we have been doing. And when you are in this business, then of course you can help a lot your fintech customers with your network, with different kind of business angels and VCs and so on. And that help at least our customers really value high, that we can open up them doors whenever they need equity on top of any leverage as well.
So where do you see, I often see such a wide range of fintech companies, and I'm just interested to see where you see the most growth, that gets there's a lot of attention on new entrants that are kind of looking to disrupt the traditional banking model. But, most of the fintech companies I see are firms that are selling into incumbent banks and traditional banks. So where do you see the most sort of potential for growth, either the disruptive model or the working within the wider financial institution ecosystem model?
I think years back when maybe 7 years ago, 6-7 years ago, when everybody was talking about fintechs and how they will conquer the world and the traditional banks will be vanishing away and so on. I think the first idea, so to say, was in many cases that they will bring totally new value for existing banking customers in the world, and that in a big picture, I think that has been extremely difficult. Quite few huge successes there, and the traditional banks still are there. So in my mind, at least, more obvious to make a great business in fintech side is to help existing banks with compliance and back office and so on. And there I have seen many great fintech startups paving the ground, and making really good numbers and having a lot of large banks as customers and bringing fast efficiency improvements and so on. So in my mind, the first thing is this there. And but of course, the digitalization is coming. But nowadays, all the, you might say, old traditional banks, they are there as well, trying to get more digital towards their own customers. So I would say there's more opportunities on back office and compliance side, for example.
Yeah. No, you know, I very much agree with you. Yeah, it's an interesting journey we've been on in fintech. But our final question is really one about don't live on fintech alone. So I always want to ask someone a personal question, and it's really kind of open. What brings you joy?
Well, well, at least first thing that comes to my mind is family, of course. You know, my wife and my two daughters, you know, they are grown ups already, but we still spend a lot of time together, and that's number one, clearly. And now when it's COVID time, still the second item that comes to my mind that I never ever before have done is hiking, you know, 2 or 3 hours, 15 kilometers or so out there in nowhere. And that's what I've been practicing like 20, 30 times during the COVID time with my wife. And that's great exercise to be out there in the nature as well.
Excellent. Excellent. Hiking with your family. Perfect. Vesa, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate you coming on. And we'll speak again in October during Virtual Nordics.
Yep. Thanks.
Lovely.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.